Hey, how's it going?
Well, good evening, everyone. Hadn't it been a beautiful day? All right. Well, we do have a few announcements before we pray and dismiss to Bible class. Just a reminder, both adult classes will combine and meet in here tonight to hear the presentation by Dr. Teel. President of Baxter Institute down in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. So we're so happy to have Steve and Diane here tonight for this presentation. Always great to hear the latest what's going on down in Tegucigalpa and other places too. We do have just a few announcements. Sandra Prophet is recovering from surgery. She'd like to thank everyone for all the prayers, cards, and food. She says she sure loves her church family. David Gist is scheduled to go back to the doctor next Tuesday and will have more tests Friday. His pneumonia seems to be better. He is restricted from lifting or pulling for two more months. And we have several things on our calendar event list, and just a few things coming up immediately. On the 15th, Tuesday, Soul Sisters will meet in the Fellowship Hall at 6. On the 19th, there'll be a family and youth group trip to Frontier City. Sign up at the youth booth if you can take part in that. And then on the 20th will be the Fort Gibson Nursing Home worship at 4 o'clock. Next slide, Alzheimer's awareness. That'll be October 24th at 10 a.m. at the Park Church of Christ in Tulsa. There'll be a presentation, a lunch, and a panel discussion, a health fair type thing. So if that's something that interests you, then you can either call the number, we'll have that in the office if you can't see that from there. But you can register at theparkchurchtulsa.org. theparkchurchtulsa.org, or you can call that number. and register for that. Okay, Orphan Sunday is the 27th, and that's always an exciting time. The speaker will be Tim Murphy, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he is a founding member of Orphans Lifeline International, so that'll be exciting to have him here to give us an update on the state of things around the world as it deals with orphans. I was reading up a little bit on that today, and according to UNICEF, at any given time, there's over 100 million orphans around the world, and that's a lot. And just to give you some perspective on what that is, that would be the populations of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and 47 other major U.S. cities, plus the populations of Ireland, Norway, and some other countries. And so that's a lot. And so this is always a really encouraging day as we save up and we do a special contribution on that day to help support Orphans Lifeline International. And the last couple of years, I know that from what I understand, that our congregation here, our church family, is the biggest single contributor to Orphans Lifeline International. So that's a pretty neat thing. Hopefully we can keep that up this year. Also on the 27th, this is a big day. Trunk or Treat will be from 4 to 7. And so if you can help out with that in any way, sign up at the welcome booth. There's several sign-up sheets for that, many ways to help. And so all ages are invited to that. Be sure and invite friends, coworkers, family, whatever, neighbors to that, and help out if you can. And there's lots of ways to do that. Just take a look at the lists that are out there. Food pantry needs in October: instant potatoes and gravy in a jar. One of our members is still in need of twin-size box springs and rails, or full-size rails, mattress, and box springs. This is for an adult. See Janet in the office if you can help out with that. Also, happy birthday to Tanner German, Tyler Cook, Danny Newman, Dakota and Delaney Odell, Malachi Rose, John Thomas, Sue Maplethorpe, Josh Nixon, Jesse Castro, and Bill Burright. And happy anniversary to Jeff and Shelley Dorch. All right, I'll turn it over to Terry for our singing before we pray.
You have to use your books tonight. I apologize. I didn't have time to. I'm Jake Keelan tonight. He was supposed to lead, but he asked me to swap. So I swapped with him, and he had an appointment he could not get out of. So take your book and turn to 736. 736. I'm listening for pages, but I forgot I can't hear them anymore. So since I lost my hearing, I don't hear it very well. So I lost most of my hearing. So 736. To Christ be true. To Christ be loyal and be true. His banner be unfurled and borne aloft till it secure the conquest of the world. To Christ the Lord be true, for He will go with you and help you all your conflicts through. To Christ the Lord be true. To Christ be loyal and be true. He needs brave volunteers to stand against the powers of sin. Move not by frowns or fears. To Christ the Lord be true, for He will go with you and help you all your conflicts I'd like to stay here longer than man's allotted days and watch the fleeting changes of life's uneven ways. But if my Savior calls me to that sweet humble high, I'll live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing my story there on high, there with my dear Redeemer, no more to die. Well, yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I want to be of service along this pilgrim way and lead the lost to Jesus as fervently I pray. As day by day I travel, I'll keep Him ever nigh and live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing my story there on high, there with my dear Redeemer, no more to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. The end I know is nearing, by faith I look away to yonder home supernal, the land of endless day. I'll cling to Him forever and look beyond the sky and live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing my story there on high, there with my dear Redeemer, no more to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by.
Let's pray, please. Dear God, you are awesome, and we do look forward to the day that we can be face to face with you, that we can be in your presence, that we could just be there forever and ever, singing holy, holy, holy. We're thankful for times like this that we can come together as a church family and sing songs of praise and find out what's going on among our fellowship. God, we're just so thankful that we have this opportunity to be here to encourage and to build one another up. God, we're just so thankful for the gift of prayer. We just pray that you would be with those who are on our concern list, that you would be with Sandra Prophet and also David Gist, and so many more who are not on this list who are still in dire need of prayer. God, we just know that you know our needs before we know them, and we just pray that you would be with those who need you most right now and give them comfort and give them healing. God, we're so thankful that you brought Steve and Diane Teel to us tonight. We pray that you would just bless them as they travel here in the States to give reports about the fine work that's going on in Honduras and in other places throughout Latin America. God, I just pray that you would be with Steve in his sermon tonight, in his presentation tonight, that you would just bless him with the right things to say. God, we just lift your name up this day. It's in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Buenas noches. That's, that means good evening. And you learned that in Spanish 101 back in high school, maybe, perhaps. Or you may be talking to some folks that are on your work site or in your jobs who speak Spanish. They're coming in large numbers to the States, aren't they? It's good to learn another language. It opens your world to a lot of different things, learning another language. It is our life in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. And I almost made the slip there of saying Buenos Aires, Argentina. I still have a tendency to glitch there. We were 15 years in Argentina, and so I made a lot of presentations while we were in those 15 years back to the States. And so I sometimes go there. That switch doesn't flip like it should. But it's good to be with you tonight. I want to read a little passage. It's a very short passage here. It's in Luke, the 7th chapter. I think it may be the shortest parable of Jesus. There may be one shorter. I'm not quite sure. Luke chapter 7, verse 41, 42. And this is Jesus speaking. It's early on in his ministry as Luke narrates the life of Jesus. 2 men owed money to a certain moneylender. One owed him 500 denarii. That would be 2 years' wages back then. How much you make in a year? Double that? That's quite a bit of money, right? And the other 50. Well, 50 denarii would be like 2 months' wages, significantly different. Neither of them had money to pay him back. And there's the problem. You would be sold into slavery if you didn't pay your moneylender, your debtor, being a debtor in that day and time. But as Diana's grandmother used to say, their ship came in. Does anybody else use that phrase? Neither of them had the money to pay him back. So he canceled the debts of both. What a nice guy. Now Jesus asked this question. Jesus is inductive. There's a lot of inductive reasoning with his listeners. He pulls you into this story and he asks this question. Now, which of them will love him more? Now, it kind of seems obvious, doesn't it? But still, Jesus asked the question. He doesn't tell us which of them would love him more. What a master teacher is Jesus. And it's about him that we have this Christian college down in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. Tegucigalpa is a city of 1.7 million people, and we're right in the middle of it. We're on a major thoroughfare that takes you right into the city, and I'll show you a video in just a moment of where we're located and what our campus looks like. But we're there talking and trying to live and model Jesus for our students. It's really more than just education, more than Monday through Friday in classes. They take a total of 70 classes in their 4 years. And but they go out Saturday and Sunday and they're in a congregation somewhere in Tegucigalpa. There are 30 in Tegucigalpa. And so they'll go out and they'll knock doors, they'll preach, whatever the congregation wants them to do, they're supposed to serve in that way. And then in their 4th year, we send them on an internship where they are 24/7 in a congregation somewhere other than they're in Tegucigalpa. So right now they're in Colombia, Panama, Mexico, and Guatemala. The 4th year students, they're doing their internship right now. And they're serving and doing 24/7 what they'll be doing once they graduate. So they get to see what it's going to be like, but they don't have the full load on them. But they soon will when they graduate. December the 7th is our graduation, And we invite you to come down and be a part of that. It'll be a festive graduation. As you can see on the front, we got this little seal there. It's our 60th anniversary right now. We were over at Harding. We were both Harding graduates, and they've just celebrated their 100th anniversary there at Harding. We're just a little bit behind them. Our 60th anniversary that we're celebrating, and you got some photos of some old people there on the front page, and construction on our administration building and that kind of a thing, and then some people up to date, students that we have. A guy from ACU, Dan Coker. Do you know that name? Dan Coker. He's on the second page here. He was quite a brother in Christ, and he was very much a part of Baxter's getting going, helping and teaching, and in a campaign effort to 9 major cities in Latin America that our students were a part of in the 80s. We were part of 2 of those campaigns ourselves in the 80s. So, this was a major project that we did, and I want to show this to you. We are very thankful to you. This is an apartment building, and it will house 9 families, this apartment building. We started in 2020 with this theme line, vision for 2020. You know, kind of, you want to have 2020 vision. I do now after my cataract surgery. That's a wonderful thing to have when you get that. But we were thinking, excited about raising funds to build these apartments because we're always having to turn away married students. We've got all the students in the world there in Latin America that want to come and study, to go into missions or ministry. But we're having to turn them away for lack of housing. And so we said, let's go after this. This is going to be our project. And they're going to move in next week. The washer machines and dryers have arrived. The beds are being set up. And the dining room table and chairs are in the apartments. And I say all this because this is yours. I mean, you know, I was thinking, who in the world is it going to give to this in 2020? I mean, it started off with excited in January of 2020, but then March of 2020 hit and turned everything on its head in the world. And I said, there's no way it's going to happen. But you guys were the first ones to say, we believe this can happen. We believe this can happen. And I am so very thankful that you helped out. Now, the individual first to say, I believe in you, is a buddy of yours. I think his name is Jerry, and his wife, Noetta. And we want to give you this little plaque and say, thank you very much. Thank you. Let's go with our first video, please. This is these are classes that the students are in. This guy's from Cuba. Wonderful family, 3 boys. That's a Peruvian, single guy. That's a Mexican. That's a Guatemalan girl. Wife, I should say. And these are just students in chapel. We have chapel every day at 9:30. And that's a Costa Rican. He's our oldest student at 65. That's 2 Nicaraguans, a couple. And there's the white guy from North America. We're the only North Americans on campus. He's from Nicaragua. This is chapel. And that's a Mexican couple there. He's also from Nicaragua, that's the man there. This is our dean. He's a Mexican. Has an incredible story. That's the Dominican Republic. Lupe Maya. Doing a very good job as our dean. I'm going to show you buildings and that kind of a thing and other things going on at Baxter, but I wanted to show this first because this is Baxter. And if you ever come to Baxter, you'll want to come back just because of the relationships you build with the students. They really are special students. Right now we have them, as I was mentioning, the different nationalities. We have from 11 different nationalities on campus. That will change every year. We'll have more or less. Never have had less than 11 nationalities. So that's the makeup. It's kind of fun. A lot of different accents. And the students have fun with that too, because some words in one country are fine words, in another country they're bywords, 4-letter words. And so they're always kind of, and you know, some of these countries fight each other, and yet they're sitting next to each other in a Bible class. So that's kind of interesting as well. Standing out as the oddity are our Cuban students, and I've told you a little bit about the Cuban work and the Cubans there in our school. It's been very difficult recently to get Cubans in, but we've every year have Cuban students. We've got 3 Cuban couples on campus right now, 4. We've got one couple that just arrived, so that are a part of our student body. And we have 3 mission teams that have gone to Cuba, but it is disaster in Cuba. It's just terrible. It's a wonder it's not imploded with the, they can't find commodities, normal commodities. You would think they would have rice, but there's not rice. They stand in line to get just bread, simple stuff for their families. It's very, very sad what is happening in Cuba right now. And we've got 3 teams there, and they're doing a good work in the midst of that extreme situation, that dire situation. I don't know that Cuba's the bottom rung economically in Latin America, but Haiti's right there. Cuba's got to be close to it as well. It's just really sad what has happened in that country. Pray for them and pray for these teams that are winning souls. I was telling the elders tonight that the first team that went in there, mission team, they did not have a visitor for 3 years. And then a kid came in for VBS. His grandmother followed him, and then the family, and it was off and running. How God works, you know, testing their faithfulness, really. 3 years without a visitor. Not a baptism, just not even a visitor. And then the second team came in, and in 6 months, they started having Bible studies. In the first year, they had a few baptisms. The last team that's gone in 2 years ago, they had 100. They've had 100 in 1 year. And it's incredible that has happened. In Trinidad is the name of the community where they live. That means Trinity. The city is called Trinity, but it's really exciting to see how that is that's unfolded there in that country. We have 4 from Peru. We have several from Colombia. Venezuelans, we did have a large group of Venezuelans, but we're down to just a couple. We have 2 families who are of Venezuela. And then we have families from Dominican Republic, Cuba, as I mentioned, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. That's our makeup at the present time of students there. This next video is a I'll do this video and then we'll ask questions, okay? All right, this video is of our school, our campus. On the front end, you see our entrance. This is on the left is our clinic. This is our nurse. This is the dental wing that we have there. These are children in the nutrition program. Their mothers learning a trade as seamstress, as beauticians. And this is the food that we give to that children in those nutrition programs. This is looking down on campus. That's our administration building. It's actually a 4-level building that make up that. That's me teaching a Bible class, preaching class actually. And this is our chorus. The city gave us an award for our 60th year anniversary. And this is zooming down. This is a drone thing, and it's down on the singles dorm. And this is the married student apartments, the old ones. And that red roof is this building right here, our new married student apartments. And we're very, very happy with how they came out. Very beautiful apartments. And they sync well with the architecture style of the campus. Doing the last minute wiring on the married student apartments. This is a gift of a van to help in our clinic. And this is a member of our campus, iguana. So that iguana is coming from, there's a cliff, a sheer cliff behind the married student apartments. And you look at the cliff and you see like holes in the cliff, and they've dug out little homes in there, and they have the iguanas live up there. We don't know how many of them are. We'll know how many there are because they're kids, living in these families, living in these married student apartments. I'm sure they're going to start numbering how many, maybe naming the iguanas that come out of those cliffs. They're harmless. They'll run from you. They run up in the trees, and sometimes you can't even see them up in the trees. The way they hide well. So, questions on what I just showed you? Any questions you might have about our school and about the campus that we have there? Anyone have a question for me?
Explain to Steve about security and about the city and that kind of thing, because we asked about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, we've been there 12 years. We've not had any problem with security on our campus. Of course, now when I came on board there, I raised walls and put up some barbed wire stuff, put up cameras, but we've not had any invasions. In fact, I don't know of anybody. Howard Norton was there before us, and Steve White. I don't know that they have mentioned any invasions on our campus. So our campus is a very safe place. It's 15 acres. It's mountainous. It's kind of not flat at all, those 15 acres. You have how many acres here? 30. Wow. Okay, 30. Ours is just 15 in comparison. Our students leave campus every Saturday and Sunday, as I mentioned. They go in their ministry, and they go out to 30 churches and surrounding Tegucigalpa. And there will be, we have had an occasion when on public transportation, this can happen in the States anywhere, but someone steals a cell phone, and that kind of a thing that they have out there. And so they're a little more cautious about pulling their cell phones out. Nobody's had any physical violence against them at all. In fact, they wonder about the U.S. We were talking about the elders meeting, all these random shootings, schools, churches, of all places, and in workplaces that happens here in the States. That doesn't happen there. That doesn't happen at all there. Now, they have other issues. There are gang stuff that happens there. Gangs, well, it's interesting on the gangs. One of our students two students were out in a very poor area, working of the very poor church. They were having a feeding program, and they were feeding 200 kids daily, Monday through Friday. And but it was in a very poor area, and there was obviously a gang in that area. They or the police in that community. So somebody broke into one of our student who's out there as a minister, stole all his electronics in the house, a TV and that kind of thing. And the gang leader boss heard about it. And so when he heard about it, the next day, all those electronics appeared on the front porch. So it's odd. But as I mentioned to the elders, we have a clinic. We see 13,000 annually in that clinic, dental and medical clinic. We know we're attending to gang people's relatives, kind of a thing. It's open to everybody to come. And we've never had any problems with that open door problem with the clinic. And we have groups come down. I want to invite you to bring your group down here to Baxter. And they will do medical brigades out in the churches in poor areas, and they will build houses. We're very concerned about this hurricane going to Tampa. There's a congregation in Tampa, Northwest Tampa church, and they come down. Some folks from ACU come down with them, and they build on the order of 50 homes, wood slat homes, in 2 weeks. They are something to watch. But that's in 12 years that they've been doing that. I've been there at Baxter. Prior to our time, they were doing the same thing, probably a good 5 years prior to our time. So they have built a lot of homes. And their house building and other groups coming down and build houses, we approach 100 annually in houses built. Well, people see that. And then they know that this is something you don't want to bother with or give them trouble, because they're benefiting a lot, the people of Honduras. And I also mentioned that I want to do that. I think that's good because that's Jesus, who was always compassionate, who was always healing people, healed a lot of folks, and he fed a lot of folks. And I want our students to witness that. They go down every morning at the clinic and they have a preaching service there for all the ones who come for the day to see the doctors or the dentists. And I want them to see that scenario because I want them to be ministers who realize you got to get your hands dirty. You got to be in the lives of people. You got to care for other people. You got to be compassionate. More than four walls, a minister's work is as much in the homes and lives of people. And so they're all new at this idea of what it's like to be a minister, and I want them to have that experience.
How hard is it to get the foreigners into some of these countries that are in pretty bad shape?
How hard is it to get them into the country?
Like Cuba, places like that.
On the specific of Cuba, it's been Cubans who've gone back to Cuba. They would have problems if they were not a Cuban going into Cuba, but that's the regime. That's communist control kind of situation. Anybody going back to their homelands will not have problems in going back to their homelands. the mission teams that go to new places and start new churches. We've not had any problems except for getting paperwork to get into Mexico. It's very difficult to get good paperwork, legal paperwork in Mexico. And sometimes it'll be a year or two before that can happen. But they can get it. It's just, it takes some time. And our mission teams are often made up of students from different countries. A team went to Cúcuta, Colombia, and this team made up of a Venezuelan, a Colombian, somebody from El Salvador, somebody from Guatemala, and Honduras. So it's very much a multinational group there, part of that team. And growing by gangbusters. I mean, they're really good. They have 250 in 6 years. They have a plan they're optimistic, plant 5 churches themselves there in Colombia. It could happen from the success they've already had. So, and they're training others to take their places in that work. Yeah. So now the guys that went to Bolivia, they had problems, but different from the receptivity problems in Cuba. They went to the indigenous people in Bolivia who believe in Pachamama, God of the earth, God of the sun, the moon, those kinds of things. Very pagan, Inca background religious practices. And so they baptized, 20 or so in the first year. And after the festivals to all these gods, they were back to zero. Had to start all over. It was a unique challenge for them in that cultural setting. They had to realize how to do it differently. In Central America, you can knock doors. You ever do that? I did it in the 70s in Georgia. And Jewel Miller film strips, you remember those kind of deals? Way back. I'm telling you, I'm 72, And so, but anyway, they were out of the practice of Central America. They were knocking doors, and so they go to Bolivia and try and knock doors. And the women would come to the door and they would do this. They would not look at the individual directly. They put their hand up and shield themselves. So they realized, we've got to do this thing differently in Bolivia. And they learned, made changes, and grown flexible, and the church is growing there in Bolivia. It's not real fast in its growth, but it's growing, steady growth there in Bolivia. I got some more videos. Oh, another question, yeah.
Share with us, what is the current enrollment at Baxter, and what are your projected growth the next year or so, if you have any idea of what those numbers might look like?
I just told you 30 minutes. So you got 65 we have on campus, and we're in we have a vision for growth, and it is Baxter 100, and so we're wanting to get to 100. We realize it's not going to happen overnight, and so the building is going to get us to 80, close to it. We might be too off of that, but we're going to be hoping to get 80 on campus. Again, the married students have been, we've always had to turn them away because we didn't have places for them on campus. And so we're thinking it's going to be 3 years, maybe less, to get to 100. The funding is the issue. When you jump that number, it's getting scholarships for these students. And well, okay, she's emphasizing that we have more than just the 65 on campus and soon to have 80 on campus. We have a 5th-year program. We want to take it to a graduate level. Since 2016, we've had a marriage and family program. It is 10 modules throughout a year, and a very, very qualified individuals teaching marriage and family classes. That's where a minister is going to hit the wall oftentimes. These are 4 years preparation, but there's a lot that happens when you get out and are doing ministry. A lot that happens. And so they have to, they will hit that wall when it comes to caring for people. And so we're running 30 annually, 35 in that marriage and family program annually. And we're going to add 2 more on that 5th-year program this next year. So, we have that 85, we have that 65, soon to be 80, plus we have 30, 35, and then we'll have 2 more classes. We'll probably have 60 in that online setting. We have a thing which is for church members, and it's a in-depth Bible study over a 2-year program, and it's a video thing. We call it PEC, but it's for church members to grow, and so you go online and you study at your own rate. The classes have already been recorded, and as you finish a class, you jump to another class, and you jump to another class, and so that's another thing. And there are probably 40 in it, and so we're building numbers here for you. And then we have another program that is a correspondence course, and it's running somewhere around 100, but it's a different level. And often an adult Bible class will go through it, 30 will go through it, and that kind of thing. And so we have people graduating out of that program every year, but it's a variety of ways to help people study, not just a 4-year program. So that's a good one, yeah.
What does it cost per student for a year?
Okay,
On campus?
Yeah, it's $7,800. It's $650 a month for students. Married students, we bring them in a little better deal. We get about $1,000 as opposed to that $6,500. $650 a month with 2 people and family. Another video. Let's see what this next video is. Oh, this is fun. This is a fun day. This is the whole campus. We vacated the campus. Everybody on campus. That's the 65-year-old. And we went down to a poor school, just 4 blocks from Baxter. We just left and we were marching down the streets, headed to this school. This is the director of that school. And we were getting ready to go after it. That's that dean again. And everybody's doing different kind of projects. And we're gonna paint and clean off roofs. We cleaned out their library. The shelving was on shelves that were termite infested, so they were about to fall in. And then we had a little medical brigade too. A little medical work there for the families of the children in this poor school. That's our dentist and everybody. Mamas, students. That's one of our doctors. That's another doctor that we have on campus. And we're gonna get this wall painted. Cleaned up that backyard. And get the door painted. Look, I got it to work. And then we fed them afterwards. she was very excited about this. So this is what I do the first day of school. First day of school used to be a play day somewhere on a park, and so I changed that the second year. I said, we're going to do something different. The goal is everybody work together. Freshmen have just arrived. They don't know anybody. They don't know the professors or anybody. But it's something when you're sweating next to the president of the school or the dean of the school or the teachers you'll have in classes and with your fellow students. You're working together, and it creates a body of togetherness. It's just really a lot of fun. And so we went down to this school and did that for them. Very, very needed. It's a poor area down along the river. If you know anything about Honduran history, Mitch is a historical marker, Hurricane Mitch, for the country. It hit the country in 1998, destroyed the infrastructure of the country, just wiped it out. Well, one of the rivers, major rivers that flooded is just down from Baxter, 4 or 5 blocks. And the people who lived along the river are the poorer ones that live down there on the river. And their kids are the ones that are in this school. And so we had a great time doing that. Another question?
What's the population of Gibson?
It's 1.7 million.
What's the major? Is it farming?
If you drink coffee, you're probably drinking some Honduran coffee. If you eat bananas, you're probably eating some Honduran bananas. Let's see, they do a lot of beans and rice. That's a major staple there and throughout the region as far as agriculture goes. And let's see, in Tegucigalpa, it's the capital, so you have a kind of a center of government activities and departments and all those kinds of things going on in Tegucigalpa that employ people as well. Your shirt, check your shirts every now and then. Labels, they may say Bangladesh on it, but sometimes they'll say Honduras on them. There's quite a bit of clothing that is done there. Those big shirt makers or whatever you want to call seamstering. That's done in a large number there.
After Dad retired, it's taken us 3 years to find Justin. How long does it take you guys to find a place to place those new preachers?
Our students are grabbed up almost immediately upon graduation. It's incredible. Our product is a good one, and they will baptize 100 plus while in their, annually the campus will, in their weekend activities. And so they have a strong evangelistic spirit about them. And we're the only 4-year Christian college. There are some 2-year schools, some internet schools, some other 2-year evangelism schools. In fact, 5 Baxter graduates are running these 2-year evangelistic schools from Peru to Guatemala. So that's quite interesting how that all. But they are picked up.
I think you mentioned one time that these married couples, that you're sort of getting a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
Those women have opportunity to teach the ladies in congregations, right?
In Latin America, the wife of the preacher has a very prominent role, and she will be one doing the women's seminars and those kinds of special classes for women. So she has a very, very definite place in the work there.
Where do you draw your faculty from, Steve? Where do your teachers come from?
I mentioned our deans from Mexico. Mentioned we have a New Testament teacher from Venezuela who's studying at Harding School of Theology. Harding School of Theology will, their graduate program will take our graduates if they know English. English is super important in a graduate level program here in the States because you do a lot of reading. So then Venezuela, we have teachers from Honduras. We have teachers from Cuba. One of the Cubans held him, and he teaches there. He's also our choral director, awesome choral director. Help me, Diane. Who else? Who am I missing? Nicaragua, also. We have a teacher from Nicaragua. So it's multinational, like our student body is. I want to show one quick last video. It's the one of the chorus. Do you see that chorus? The choral video? No. Next one. Yes, we'll end with this. This is fun. It's our chorus singing at a former silver mine. This is pretty setting. That's a Guatemalan right there in front of me. He's a Peruvian. That's a Colombian and a Nicaraguan. He's a Venezuelan. He's from Nicaragua. He's the Mexican. It's Berlin. He's a Mexican. He's from Nicaragua. Husband of 3. We're proud of them, the way they put that together. We got into our passage, and I not ended the comments there with reference to this passage. It's Jesus dealing with a situation where a woman of ill repute has come into a gathering that Jesus had been invited to. Simon, the Pharisee, has invited Jesus. But this woman of ill repute comes in, falls at his feet. Her tears wash his feet. Her hair dries his feet. She puts perfume on them. And obviously something has happened in her life and her relationship with Jesus. Well, the Simon judges Jesus for even allowing this woman to get close to him, you know. And as the story is told here, Jesus responds to Simon's attitudes, because Simon judges, well, he couldn't be a prophet, allowing this lady to touch him. And he said, Simon, you know, I came into your home. You didn't even wash my feet. Common gesture in a Mediterranean culture in Palestinian area. You didn't give me a kiss. You didn't show any kind of respect to me. You know, and yet she has bestowed obviously this gesture of love toward me. Now, which of them loved more? The obvious is the one who has the 500 denarii debt is the woman. The one who had the 50 was the Pharisee who was judging Jesus. How much do you love Jesus? Have you understood the debt you had before Jesus came into your life? The Pharisee would just basically did not even think he had a debt, of course. But that's one of the primary motivations of our life, gratitude to a Savior who has saved us. The passage ends with Jesus saying to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." What a blessing we have, salvation and peace in our lives. Thank you for your questions. We can talk some more. But most of all, well, not most of all, very important is to say thank you. Thank you for supporting us, Baxter.